Hey legends, it's Tuesday morning here. A few things to go through. We've got the bye period here, the next 3 games obviously, and I've hidden all the 11 games that have gone previous, and everyone that's had a bye there, it goes all the way in that diagonal there, thanks to Scoop, all the way until the Warriors with the bye this week. So every team under that has not had a bye, and that means they will have 3 over the next, 16, 17 rounds. So that's something to keep in mind, guys, that if you are looking at certain players in those teams there, they still have 3 byes remaining, whereas all the 11 before have already one out of the way. And, do they have them in this period here? Do they have one in this section and then one a little bit later? You're looking at the Dolphins, who had their bye in 11. They have their next bye in 16, and then they have a gap all the way through until 21. That also happens with a few other teams. Warriors have their bye now. They have one in 16 and then one in 22. So that's where the issue here lies with guys like Bulldogs. So 13 and 17 and then one in 23. You look down at the Eels and they have not had one yet either. They have 2 in this period and then one a fair bit later. Cowboys the same, 2 in this section. You have, the Rabbitohs probably have a better schedule if you're looking for bye coverage, because you get guys that play 13, 14. Then they miss 16, they got 17 and 19 there, the other big bye, and then a bye in 20. So if you're looking at Rabbitohs guys that don't play Origin, there's good coverage there. And as I said, everyone that had their bye previously has a better selection. They're a better selection going forward because they have either one in this section or similar to the Dragons, one in 16 and 20 there. And then they're not too bad for the rest of it. So that's something to think about. I also want to go through sort of my tips and predictions for this week. I think it's going to help my tipping and hopefully it helps yours as well. Just to think about these games, less from a fantasy perspective and more from an actual NRL perspective. So we'll go through those. And then also want to jump into, which we'll do now, going through each position and just a general idea of where we're at. So obviously the last few weeks I've been previewing each position, heading into the buys and those that are good selections. And as I spoke about in yesterday's video a little bit, just another update on where my team's at and sort of what you want to look at, guys, to make sure you get a 13 on the park and not a 14 or 15, because you can only play 13 in round 13 there, and then looking forward to sort of anyone that can cover round 16 as well. Whether that's a guy that's going to be a red dot in 13, they're going to help you in 16. So, the Penrith guys, the Storm guys, they miss 13, 19, so they play in that 16 one for you. So whether or not they're going to be a keeper in your side, or they're just going to be a guy that plays and does solidly, doesn't lose you too much cash, that kind of thing over the bye period, and then you trade them out at the end. That's something to think about as well. So let's look at, obviously, my squad. As I said there, we've got the center position set up. I don't have the wing fullback position set. We only have one guy that's playing in that position, so that's something I need to look at either this week, or potentially you can just go till next week. Considering in round 13, we do move to 4 trades. So something to think about. You don't want to be pumping 4 trades all the time, considering I'm down to 16. I know a lot of you guys are worse than that. Some are a little bit better at 18 or 19, something like that. People's squad are at 18 there. So something to think about. The wing fullback position is really tough, and I'll go through that in this video as well. But do you want to be spending multiple trades there? Or do you just cop the 12 or something like that? So you bring in a second wing fullback. If Wolf doesn't make Origin, he could be a good one to slot in. Obviously, Drinky and these types of players are going to work out okay, but they're not slam dunks. That's for sure. Centers are good. Half position, I'm good. I got Johnson and Brown, and obviously Katoa as well. Otherwise, people will play 14 for me, which will be cool. Edge position, we have Lukey at the moment, so I'll need to get a second one for that. Mid position, I am pretty well good as well. In that one, I'll need one more for that one, and then hooker is fine there as well. So currently sitting with missing 4 players at the moment. So I've got 9 available for 13. So I might have to make, 1 this week, potentially 2, could be 0 as well, and then just trade hard next week. So there's options. You can, if things work out this week, I'm worried about Hosking and where Liam Martin's going to play. I really think Liam Martin will start this week. And I'm finding it very difficult to see Scott Sorensen after a double and how well he's been playing to be dropped back to the bench and play through the middle. I can understand them doing it, but I can also see Hosking come off the bench as well. Liam Martin play a bit of edge, moving to the middle and going from there, or Hosking plays limited minutes, and if he is on the bench, he is a sell. So that's the frustrating one there. We'll wait and see, but decisions like that will potentially have to be made for sure. But the hooking position here, guys that play in 13 that would be of note is obviously just Jeremy Marshall King up top in that one, and then you're looking at guys like Wade Egan, and not much there, not much from there really. So it's Robson and Jeremy Marshall King are the only 2 that are really going to be solid for you. And then if Cook's in Origin, it'll be Mamazelis or something like that. And if that's the case, he will play a couple of those games, he'll play 13 and 19. So he's a sneaky one in that hooking position if you don't have a Robson and you're not that keen on Robbo. But yeah, for the most part, he's pretty cheap now, and you doubt that he could play much worse in terms of his fantasy scoring than what he's doing as of right now. In terms of mids, I think there's so many middles guys, so it's not a position I think you need to worry about. What I would think about, though, is if you're looking at guys to potentially bring in these certain positions, obviously Horsburgh, DeBellin, there's a little bit of a cloud as to if they're going to play Origin. So if you're looking at these guys, now that it's 1 week away from their selection, so teams will be selected on Sunday after the games, especially the New South Wales team. I think Queensland are usually just before, potentially. But these kind of guys that are on the fringe of Origin, Hudson Youngs, DeBellins, Horsburghs, there's lots of them. Obviously Madison, Hopgood, there's so many of these guys. Are they going to get picked? There's only 17 guys to get picked, so not all of them will. And obviously we hope that a few of the incumbents, a few of the older guys do get selected. But these type of selections, guys, I think you need to avoid them this week, just in case they do make Origin, because if they do, that's going to be a bit of a tough trade-in. The last few weeks it's been fine if you brought in DeBellin, whatever happens there. The other interesting thing is with Griffin now being sacked, what's going to happen with DeBellin and Bird? Does anything change with that Dragon side, or do they kind of keep it the same for the next few weeks, and then whoever comes in as interim coach is going to take over and change a few things? That's something to think about as well. So middle position here. So guys that are going to be playing, Fennell, Blake, likely Madison, likely Hopgood. I see Hopgood as a really good trade-in. He's getting above that 50 price now, obviously with his 80-odd a few weeks ago. And the good thing with him is he has 4 games over 70 now. So he definitely has that boom game. He also has that lower game because he does get the negatives. But he plays really hard, and that's what allows him to get tackle breaks, offloads, and tries as well. So Hopgood, Madison, and Fennell Blake, the definite options in that one. Carrigan will be an Origin. All these guys don't play. Tarpanay, Horsburgh, DeBellin, these types of players, obviously a solid one. I personally think I'm going to wait until 13 and get Tohu Harris. There's a thought of getting Tavir Totola. There's a thought of getting Flegler. These types of guys there. Obviously, Harrison Edwards had a good one, and he'll have a very low break even. But Tohu would definitely, if he's playing 80 minutes each and every week, he misses 1 game from round 13, and that's only 16 there, which is a tough one to miss. But you can definitely make trades around it. Like Brandon Smith, I'm going to be using in the middle in round 16. McInnes probably makes his way from my side. I have Hopgood that could play in the middle. So there's a few options there. And missing Harris that week, but he's going to be so big in every other week, and he's a keeper. So a cut price keeper is 671. He hasn't played this week, so you'll be able to get him at 13 at the same price, which is going to be cool. So that's all the general thoughts on that middle position, really. Obviously, guys like Fisher Harris don't play Origin, but he misses 13 and 19. So the weeks that you probably want him, that's where he's going to be, and he's not a keeper long term, so it's kind of a rental. Obviously, Paseka, I think now it's probably not worth picking him up just because the momentum he has kind of faded a little bit. Still getting decent minutes, but the points are there, especially with them getting a lot of points put on them pretty regularly, like sort of 20 in the first half last week during his stint. Obviously not ideal. Obviously guys like Adam Elliott, if we get another, a decent score from him, he'll be at an okay price at 570 to be able to be selected. So really on the mids front, guys, there's a lot of them. I don't think it's a position you need to worry about for 13. Maybe a little bit more for 16 is the worry for that middle position. If you're looking at the edge, as we said, this is the opposite to the mid position. There's heaps available in 16. Obviously, Hosking and Big Trent Leoro are going to be available there as well. Currently, I have Lukey on the edge in 13 for me. And as I said, it's a very tough one. So Fafita won't play, and if you don't have him now, unless you're a head-to-head guy, you shouldn't be selecting him in your side anymore. Hopgood, I'm likely to use in that position. I think guys like Hudson Young and Frizzell, obviously both a chance of playing Origin as well. So if you don't own them, it's very hard to select them in your squad this week. But I understand why you would look to. Guys like Isaiah Papali'i, if you can get through round 13 with a couple of cheaper guys, obviously Andrew Davies, an interesting one at the moment as well, in the mid 480 or something now after that decent week. He's obviously a sneaky one that can get you 40 odd, 50 odd in those big buy rounds. If he continues to keep that spot. And obviously with Sean Lane out, I think it's a little bit safer now. Andrew David, they really like what they've been able to get out of him. See someone for the next few weeks. Isaiah Papali'i, if you want to get someone for 16, which is going to be really good, then Papali'i is going to be your man for that one. Looking down the line, Gilbert, you'd say, is a good chance of playing Origin. Jaden Sewer as well, 629 is a solid pickup. Obviously getting another 50 odd. Sean Lane is out now, so there's not too much to gain with him. Bryce Cartwright might get that start again. How is that going to change things for the bench for the Eels, obviously, Oregon Kafusi will return. Sorry, Oregon Kafusi's a Sharky. He was Eels last year. Hopgood, still will be able to get decent minutes. You got Madison there. They're still missing RCG. You miss Sean Lane. Cartwright probably goes to that position. Who do they bring back onto the bench as another lower minute forward? I think that really helps Madison. It really helps Hopgood as well. So that's kind of it for the edge position at this stage. And then we go to halves, and it's kind of that mixture of those guys we've been talking about, with Brown, with Johnson there, all doing good things. You got Foggs, you got Reynolds, who will be a little bit cheaper after missing. Sorry, he will miss this week. Does he miss this week? Actually, I'm not sure. Did he end up getting Cat 1? I don't know if it was, but either way, he's going to be 660 or cheaper coming into round 13. Do you pick him up? It's probably hard to. Moses comes back this week, and then he's a sneaky one in 13 if he does lose a fair bit of cash in that one. But that's really all the other guys that are in my current squad. And then you go to the centers, and this is a little bit of an easier position, obviously, than where we're at with the wing fullbacks. There's a good chance that Gagai apparently misses Origin, so that's actually huge news for the center position as well. But again, it's Lemuelu, Bird, Gagai, Tomoko. The top 4 guys there are all available in 13, Penasini as well. But it's obviously something to look out for is round 16 when Lem is out, when Bird is out. That's why I think Joey Manu, it looks like, guys, that he's going to be out for the 2 weeks, I'd say. The type of ankle injury he got is just that rolled ankle style, where the ligaments that you do damage in that, it isn't a big issue. If it's a high ankle sprain, it's a lot worse. So that's where the syndesmosis comes in. And it sounds like Manu will be fine, and he's going to be really important in 16, either in the wing fullback or the center position. And I think center is going to be the position you need him in, because all these guys, except for Penasini, do have a bye in that one. Gagai, I think, would miss. Yeah, he wouldn't play that one either. He will play that one for fantasy if he doesn't make Origin, which he could eventually get back into that squad as well. So even if he does miss this one, it's a little bit tough in that sense. All the Sharkies guys, they do play, so Talakai will return as well. Farnworth, they missed that one, the Broncos, so it's a little bit tough. Obviously, the top guys at the moment, Hammer might play Origin as well, so it's Tass, as potential cheapie. Ramian will be an interesting one for 16 as well. So center position is really the guys up top, and that is really it at the moment. Wings and the fullbacks, it's Miller up there. Obviously, Karaz is on the return. You've got Ruben Garrick, who's going to be Karaz not for 13, but for 14 onwards. You have Garrick, who's going to miss 14, but he's going to be a player in 13. He's an option this week, fairly cheap. Reece Walsh, as I spoke about, if he misses Origin, he could be a sneaky one, but again, could miss out. Second Origin, they do have a bye though, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference. You got Drinkwater, who is obviously a solid pick still. Avrilo snuck up to 503k, so he's more expensive than Garrick, and so that really says something, doesn't it? In that one there, so yeah, not a lot of options, guys. If Turbo misses Origin, then that's wild, but he would be a player in 13. So Kyle Feld, he's probably made a bit too much cash now. Seb Chris, all potential options there, but that's all you'd really look to pick up in those positions. So yeah, Johnston, real cheap option at 437 now. Center position as Billy Smith, could be a buy this week, but he misses 13. And how many Roosters do you want in your side right now? It looks like Teddy will probably be a hold, considering they play Dragons and they need a bounce back game. Man, they need to play well, don't they? So I've already moved Manu out of my side, assuming he'll miss this week, but we'll obviously find out in team list a little bit later. But yeah, that's kind of the general theory with all of the positions at the moment. And as I said, those next 3 weeks is going to be very interesting, with Warriors having their bye and then a lot of their guys being a good purchase in 13. But really, it's Torval Harris, Adam Fanua-Blake, those type of players there. Bulldogs, they miss 13, and then they're a solid buy because they they play round 14, round 16, round 19, and 20, and then have a buy in 23. So any non-keepers, you'll be able to move them on by round 21 or something anyway. Eels, guys, they play all the 3 majors. We know about them. Cowboys, they're a solid pick because they play 13, 14, 16, and also 17, miss 19 there. So they're obviously a good one, but you don't have too many, considering round 15, you don't want to be really short with like a couple million on the bench with Robson, with Drinkwater, with Lukey, with all of those kind of guys. Cotter, whether you still own him by that point. All something to think about. Broncos and Rabbitohs, as I said, the next 4 games for them is going to be good, and then they miss 16 as well. So keep that in mind, all the teams that miss out in 16 as well. All right, let's finish this off with my predictions for the weekend. I would assume that the Panthers win this game, considering they're kind of building into some form. Probably over this bye period, they do have a bunch of guys out, resting, that kind of thing. So if they can get this win, that gives them a little bit more luxury to rest a couple of players, I think, as well. So that will be important. It's going to be a massive, fun, closer game, I think. Broncos coming off a loss will want to bounce back, and they'll want to show these Panthers guys and the whole league that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. So I think it'll be a great game. Broncos have all their players. Hopefully, Reynolds is there. If he's not, it makes it very, very tough for them. Panthers, obviously, Luai wants to show the world that he is going to be in Origin, so I completely see that. But I will be picking Panthers. I don't think it'll be a big win. I'm going Panthers by 8 to 10 on that one. In the Dragons-Roosters game, I expect Roosters to come back with a bang. There's a stat there, obviously, of coaches that get sacked and the team comes out and wins that week. I just find it very difficult for them to come out and win after a very emotional week. So Roosters are needing a bounce back, and I can't see this being too crazy of a win for Dragons. Roosters, I'm expecting them to win by about that 8 margin as well. It could be real ugly, or it could be really close. So yeah, I think either way, I'm just expecting them to win and bounce back. Rabbitohs up against the Eels. The Eels are not playing well enough. Even with Moses coming back, they do need a bounce back game, but I expect the Bunnies to just be too good overall. Again, they've got all their whole team there. Murray played much better on the weekend. You've just got game winners in Walker, Latrell. Just so many good players that they can do their thing, and they're just a better side at the moment. Tigers played really well on the weekend, and then Rabbitohs they still kept them to 0, and were able to climb over them at the end. So I think Bunnies in that one. I'm expecting them to win by about 10 in that one. Sharkies up against the Knights, and the Knights really rallied well on the weekend, but the Titans fell apart. They're away from home now. It does go to Coffs Harbour, which obviously a neutral one for either. But the Sharkies, after their defensive and their general effort in that second half the other day, I expect them to bounce back and put an 80 minutes together, which they haven't done in a while. They didn't play great against Dolphins. They played good in the first half, but not in the second on the weekend. And Knights let in a lot of points, so I'm expecting Sharks to put on a little bit of a clinic in this one and win by 20. But anything can happen, obviously. But Knights away from home after a big win, I think that took it out of them. Obviously, there's a lot of points, and defensively, they're not good enough at the moment. And before that win there, they weren't playing very good. So that's that. Tigers and Cowboys, I'm expecting this to be fairly close. Obviously, Leichhardt Oval apparently hasn't been the fortress that you would expect it to be. I've gone and watched the Cowboys against the Tigers at Leichhardt, and it was a pretty poor Cowboys performance. So I'm actually going to tip the Tigers in this one to win by 6. They played really well on the weekend, even not being able to score. I think the 2 wins before that has given them a lot of confidence. And Cowboys, obviously, the last 2 games have been good, but they've also played the Roosters, who were bad, and then Dragons, who weren't very good at all last week. And they did only score their tries during a period where Sullivan was off. So they went nuts in that sort of 10-minute period to get 2 or 3 tries. And then from there, the game was fairly close. They didn't really win the second half. It was very close on that sense. And Tigers at home, I think, can just sneak over the Cowboys, but I would not be surprised if they lose that one and the Cowboys win. So tipping the Tigers to win by 4 in that one. Dolphins and Storm. It's gonna be very hard to tip against the Dolphins, and I think I am going to tip the Dolphins in that one. Storm was solid on the weekend, did have a few things go against them. They also had a few things go their way as well, with Carrigan going off with that hip drop sin bin and then not getting charged. So it was just a very strange game, that one. Dolphins have been playing really well. They absolutely ambushed the Sharks, and teams coming off a bye have been winning every game except for the Storm losing to Bunnies, which shows that you have to be a good team to miss that one. Every team has been winning. So I think Dolphins, I'm going to tip as well in this secondary upset, or my second pick as the upset this week. In that one, again, it'll be very, very close, winning by 4, the Dolphins in that one. It'll be a lower scoring game. I'm thinking 22-18. So obviously Dolphins have been kind of letting teams get away and then coming back and winning. I think this is going to be the weird pick of the week. Storm still playing okay. They have all their troops there. I can see this going either way, but to go against the grain a little bit, I'm going to pick the Dolphins by 4. Dogs and the Titans. Again, I think I'm going to have to double down on the Titans after they had a really poor showing. They'd been winning, and then that one on the weekend was just not good enough for them. So I expect to bounce back, obviously at a core, not at Belmore. I think that helps the Titans, obviously. It's going to be a very close game as well, but a fair few points, I would say, in this one. Probably a 30-22 or something like that to the Titans is my tip in that one, but I think the Dogs have every chance as well. And then I will be tipping the Raiders in the last game. They continue to find a way to win. Eagles weren't very good on the weekend. They had a lot of ball in the second half and still weren't able to find a way to score. every chance that they could put it together if Tommy gets a little bit more health in him. Garrick has looked much better. DCE kind of doing his thing, but I'm going to tip the Raiders, given they're at home in this one, as the biggest reason for that win. And I wish you all the best of luck with your tips. I know a few people ask me what my tips are each week, and I thought that's a cool way to go through each and every game. And obviously, if you're playing a little bit more of a matchup base in your NRL fantasy picks, then this could be the way to do it. So good luck with your tips, good luck with your team this week, and we'll see you in Team List this afternoon, which is going to be very important to our sides heading into round 12. And next week's team lists are going to be even crazier, obviously, once we find out Origin team list and then the round 13 team list there. Good luck, guys.